What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some Guilty Gear. So later today and going through this weekend pretty much, so today until Sunday, the Guilty Gear Strive closed beta will be running. So if you're lucky enough to have a code, this video is for you. If you're just interested to see what's going on with characters in Strive, then this video might also help you. This is what character to pick in the Guilty Gear Strive closed beta. The running theme through this is that they all look mostly the same with like a couple of minor tweaks. So first I'm going to start with Soul. So Soul is a standard character in Guilty Gear. He's like decently fast. He has good buttons. He usually plays like a mid-range game. You usually try to control space with Gunflame. He's not going to be able to YRC. Whoops. But you're going to be using Gunflame and his mid-range normals and his ability to traverse a screen with moves. So generally, he's actually pretty mobile, even though he's not super fast. His damage tends to be pretty good, and the way he tends to win games is by cornering you and mixing you up with offense. So a really common theme in Guilty Gear is that a character's offense is pretty threatening. The moves are fast, but they're responses to everything, but they're counters to that. So Soul will either be frame trapping you with moves like this, or he'll try to grab you with Wild Throw. In this game, you get a combo of Wild Throw. In Strive, you get like a 50% boom into Wild Throw. So we'll see how that goes. You're basically going to be controlling space mid-range, get him to the corner, run your game. If you knock him through the wall, then of course he gets a damage buff. I don't know how much that affects the game yet. You will like Soul if you like kind of bullying people more than anything else. He's aggressive, he's fast, he has a DP. The new move they gave him still looks like Grand Viper to me, so they took away Grand Viper and replaced it with another move, but the new move looks like Grand Viper, so I'm just going to call it Grand Viper for now until I get a chance to try him out later on. So next we have Kai. So Kai is another standard character. He's a little bit more of a Shoto than Soul, and some people call like Kai Ryu and Soul Ken, which I think is pretty okay. So the big thing about Kai in Strive is Shock State. That's like a new thing which like buffs his moves that do lightning. He doesn't have it in this game, but it looks really strong. I also remember when I was playing him, I noticed it and I was like, oh, this might be a cool thing for combos and stuff. Might add more frame advantage, stuff like that. We'll find out pretty much tonight/tomorrow. So he's really good at controlling the screen, and he does so in a little bit more of a stable way than Soul. For example, he's got full screen projectiles, he's got air projectiles. These have like miscellaneous use. Like generally, this one is used as a pressure tool. It's usually plus the S TK Fireball. It's not used that much as a neutral tool, but the ground stun edge is definitely used for neutral. Now, one thing that Kai usually has is he has good 50-50 mix-ups, usually charged stun edge. So in old games, he used to FRC it, I believe. In Exerd, it was with YRC. We'll see what they give him in this version. I know a really big theme of the game is it's supposed to be less Okizeme heavy, but we haven't gotten to really mess around with the game yet, so we don't know how true that is right now. They took away Greed Sever, but they gave him a move that's pretty much like Greed Sever, and they gave him a couple of new moves to play with, which seems pretty nice. Moves to move around the screen. It's a move that's like Greed Sever, but not quite Greed Sever. It looks like they took away also his grinder. So this was the new move they gave him in Exerd. So instead of buffing his moves with the grinder, because this is basically what it does, now they have the whole Shock State thing, so we'll see how that changes his gameplay. You'll really like Kai if you like just controlling the mid-range and then just kind of like winning in an honest way with frame traps. So next up is Axel. Axel is the defensive character you get to pick from in the beta. He controls space. He's got like 2P, 5P, 2H, 2S. He has a lot of moves that have a lot of range. He has a charge move. It's this Sickle Flash. It goes through projectiles as they explained in the video. And you can stop people from jumping as well by holding up or tapping up, or you could tap down to do the vacuum like this. In Exert it is vacuum, but in Strive it pulls them in. They gave him a bunch of new moves, and I'm actually going to try him. Like normally I'm kind of sleep on this character, I'm not gonna lie, but they gave him a lot of new moves. He looks way more mobile. He actually does normally do a lot of damage too, because he has an Axel Bomber. And normally you can loop this a couple of times. I did see in the trailer that you get big combos with it as well. I actually think he looks pretty good in Strive, so like I said, I'm going to try him. You pretty much win by keeping them out and maximizing your combos when you get the chance to do them, because he's a kind of weird defensive character in that he does have the opportunity to do a lot of damage. Usually they try to keep this defensive character's damage down generally, but he does a lot of damage, especially in the corner, especially if you use Axel Bomber. So next up is Potemkin, and to be honest, you probably already know if you want to play him. I know my grappler monsters and big body monsters definitely want to play him. One joke about Guilty Gear that exists is that Soul is a better grappler than Potemkin, so you might want to consider Soul if you're just there for the grappler, but jokes aside, if you want to play Potemkin, he looks mostly the same to me. He's the traditional grappler of the game, so he has no air dash, he's big, he's slow, but he has a bunch of good tools. His neutral is better than people tend to give him credit for. This is definitely one of the big things about him. He's got 5H and sweep. They're both big moves that are generally safe to use and throw out. They took away this move, Trishula, and they replaced it with something that all fighting game players request, a gun, a literal gun. I forget what the move is called, but it looks kind of good. You generally want to use Potemkin Buster, so your goal is to get next to them and poke throw them to death. Use your armor to move in and out. There's no RC anymore, so this was actually really strong before. It was like a really non-committal way to move with armor. So I don't know how he's going to compensate for that in this game, but besides that, he pretty much looks like Potemkin. He has all the other standard Potemkin tools, like he still has Flick, he still has Slide Head, even though it's not unblockable anymore, which I think is kind of a big deal. So the main thing we got to see is how much damage does he do, and can he get in as safely as he can get in, say, in Exerd. So Mei, to me, looks like the most changed character from Exerd to Strive. If you started Guilty Gear with Exerd, especially Exerd Mei, then I definitely feel bad because she lost a lot of stuff from Exerd. But if you've been a long-time Mei player or you haven't played Guilty Gear, she is more based off classic Mei. So original Mei was much simpler. You basically jump around like a gorilla and with buttons until you hit them with an air move. If you hit them with an air move, they die. When you get next to them, you command grab them and they die, and she has charge moves that you can, I'm not gonna say spam, but they're really strong, and each character has their own responses to it, and they're relatively low commit. Now, if you're interested in playing a gorilla character like Mei, don't be scared of the fact that she has to charge, because you can move while charging. So one little tip I have is that when you're doing some committal movements like air dash forward or like jump forward, you can charge during these moves, and of course during the actual dolphin itself, you could charge again during it. So don't be scared and think, oh, I've never played a charge character, I can't play Mei. Now, like I said, she's much simpler, so a lot of the moves of hoops and stuff like this, she's lost. She's much more like her old school kind of style. They gave her a couple of new things, especially this move is now like a fireball. But besides that, she's really standard Mei. So what you're going to try to do is jump around and hit S and H until you hit them. When you hit that, counter hit or normal hit, if you talk about jump S, you do a fat combo, and that's it. She's very simple. Chip is pretty much the speed function for this beta. He's very fast. He's generally the fastest character in Guilty Gear. Melia is a little bit slower than him. Now, the big thing they took away from him is the teleports, so he can't do this anymore. But they gave him a lot of interesting stuff. So for example, he has Alpha Blade, right? So Alpha Blade, you normally just do it horizontally, there's a follow-up you could do, but now he could do it going diagonal up from the ground to the air, or diagonal down from the air to the ground. Now generally, he could only do this in the corner, like that, when he's on the wall. And speaking of the wall, now, instead of this crawl thing, so he could do now a wall run that's way faster. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's way faster, and it looks like he could still do the same type of left-right mix-ups that he could do in Exerd with this little wall cling where he could appear on either side. Another thing they did to him is that you can hit that now, which is such a blessing. If you played Exerd, especially Rev 2, when they buffed this move, we were like, why would you do this? Why would you do this? So being able to hit that is kind of nice, but besides that, it's still pretty much Gamma Blade. So with him, you're going to be playing super high speed, try to get to the corner, mix him up to death. If you're playing against him, nice little tip is, this is a general Guilty Gear strategy against fast characters. Occasionally, if you can't catch him, because generally he's so fast and his buttons are so good, that he's really hard to deal with if you don't have experience against him, try to use your big slow moves and just try to like tag him, because he's so fast that you can't really see what he's doing sometimes. So if you hit him, he's going to die in like 2 hits. So that's the whole goal of fighting him. If you're playing him, get them to the corner, mix them up to death, be fast, use your broken buttons. If you're playing against him, use your big buttons, and then try to kill him in 2 hits. Okay, so the last character I want to talk about is Faust. So at this time of this recording, they have not released the Faust overview, so I don't really have a good idea of what they took away, what they gave him. But that doesn't stop the fact that all the characters that they have shown / are letting us play are pretty much all classic Guilty Gear characters, and they usually take away only like one thing and give them like one new thing. So Faust is neutral control again. So he kind of beats you in 2 ways. So he either controls a screen with item toss, and based off the item that's on the screen, he acts a certain way, or he gets next to you and rushes you down with fast stuff, and he has actually an instant overhead that he could do, so he has like mix-ups that he could do. Depending on what item he throws, sometimes too, he gets mix-ups off that, which is kind of nice, but that thing is less reliable, of course, because the item throw is random. So you like him if you like kind of a quirky character, neutral control that is also varied, because you can't always do the same thing in neutral, because how you act depends on what item he throws. At this time, again, I don't know what item he throws right now. I don't even know if he throws items. I would be very surprised if they take away the item throw from him, because like that's pretty much Faust. So as far as his level of neutral control, his moves are all quite big. So the general rule of Faust is generally, not always, the bigger the move, the more committal it is. So for example, this is a pretty big move, but there's a lot of recovery on it on a whiff. This literally goes full screen almost, but it goes about this far. But there are characters that can run under it. You can hit it with moves with upper body info like 6Ps. There's a lot of stuff like that. So at a base level, especially if you're just out here trying the character, he'll seem especially strong because his moves are huge and his damage is okay. But at higher levels, you know, while he's still very good because he has items to cover kind of his blind spots and recoveries, you'll be a little bit more careful with how you aim with his buttons. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're taking away from him and what they're giving him. It's kind of hard to say. All the footage I've seen so far are just like trailer footage. I can't speak too much on that yet. But like I said, you'll like Faust if you like neutral control with a little bit of a twist. Okay, so hopefully that's a good overview of the characters, and it's of course based off what I saw in the trailer / more detailed descriptions that ArcSys put for the characters. Of course, I'll link ArcSys's YouTube, Arc System Works YouTube in the description so you can see all the videos in their entirety. They show off like a couple of combos and some detail on all the moves. I am personally going to try Kai and Axel. Axel is definitely not an LK character, but he looks really obnoxious this time, so I'm going to give him a try. Let me know who you're thinking of playing. Any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.